What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here today for a little buying topic discussion. I had a recent pickup of an item that I got in the mail, and I think that is a good talking point around it and that is about being patient in the current market that we were in. If there is an item that you really, really want, the best approach right now, in my opinion, is to wait it out. Wait for an auction, wait for your price. Set a price in mind, whatever the item is. This is the item specifically that we're going to talk about today is a comic book, but this would apply to literally anything in a sports card, comic book, Funko Pop, VHS, whatever. Pick whatever the collectible avenue that you want to discuss or item that you want to discuss. This would apply to it. This is the approach that I've had the last couple months, really. My buying has slowed down, but it definitely has not stopped. The list of items that I'm actively shopping for is still the same, but I am being extremely picky on prices. If there's an item that I want, I know exactly what I want to spend for it, what I think is a fair price in the current market. And I'm not trying to rip somebody off for it or anything like that at all. But if I'm seeing current prices trending down for it, if I'm paying cash, whatever the case might be, we as buyers, not I, we as buyers have the power right now, in my opinion. So there's no reason to really rush into anything at the moment unless it's something that you really, really want. Be patient, set your number. If it hits your number, pull the trigger. Maybe it goes lower than the number that you set. That's fine. You got it for a number that you were comfortable getting it at. Don't sweat it dropping another 5 or 10% for that item to potentially rebound later. Rudy from Alpha Investments talks about this all the time. If a box is selling for 200 right now and you buy it and it drops to 150 and you kick yourself because it went to 150, but in 5 years it's $400, are you really going to care that much about the $50 that you lost out on by trying to time the market perfectly and maybe miss your window entirely? So set your number, whatever it is. If it hits that number, it gets close to that number, pull the trigger on it. Where I'm finding the best buying opportunities right now are waiting out eBay auctions. We'll talk about the item here in a second. There is a very specific comic book I've been looking for probably 6 months almost. I don't remember. It's essentially a set of two, and it'll make way more sense once I pull it out on the table and you see what I'm talking about. I bought the first one. I'm looking it up right now. It doesn't say the date, but I would probably have to guess about 5 or 6 months ago that I bought the first one. And I've been looking for the companion book to it. The companion book to it is actually not much more rare, but definitely lower census count. And I was very specific that I wanted it in a 9.8. And they are out there. I could have pulled the trigger anytime that I wanted if I was willing to pay a $600 price point for it. But honestly, that's not what this book has been selling for. So I have been patiently waiting. There's been a couple times ones have popped up on Instagram sales, and I've been finding a lot of my best deals both in cards and comics right now on IG dealers, the very large consignment house dealers, especially on comic books that post stuff. I've been getting my best deals from there. The last couple cards I bought were card show pickups. The last few comic books I picked up either came from my slabs or from IG dealers. I think the last 2 or 3 books were from IG dealers, and the previous one to that was from my slabs. So what are we talking about here? I picked up this one a while ago. This is the one I picked up a few months ago. And this was on I think I got this one from A1 Comics on a claim sale, if my memory is correct. I paid, what did I pay for this? I paid $9.50 for this about 5 or 6 months ago. This is Uncanny X-Men 141, the first issue of the Days of Future Past storyline. Iconic cover, iconic storyline, a key book in any X-Men collection. You have to have this and the paired book that goes with it. like I said, I bought this for $950. I was perfectly comfortable with that. I wanted to be at $1,000 when I bought this 6 months ago, 5 months ago when I got it. Currently, last sale was, I think, about $850. So I paid $950 for it. Last sale was $850. I didn't look at the full price history on it to see if they've all been trending that direction, but it's only come down $100. I am perfectly fine with that. There are, I believe, about 6,000 graded and 745 in a 9.8 on this one. So since I got this is a two-part story. 141 and 142 make up Days of Future Past. I had been hunting for the companion piece to it, and I could have bought it anytime along the way. Like I said, it would randomly pop up all the time. I could go on eBay and get it for between $550 and $600. Plenty of opportunities, but you would see sales way below that if you were patient. I got a little bit unlucky, missed out on a couple things here and there. One finally popped up for auction on eBay. I bid $450 on it and let it ride. If it goes above that, I was fine losing it. I wanted to be at $450 or under. I didn't even pay attention to the end of the auction. Because like I said, I know this book is readily available for $500 to $600. I'm not going to pay a premium on it. Auction ends, $416. I get it at, and here it is. Once again, this isn't so much about the book in particular, but this is Uncanny X-Men 142, and I got it for the low 400s. I had a bunch of money. eBay has a new thing now where you can leave money parked on it essentially and not take payouts. So what I've been doing actually is just selling off a bunch of random things here and there, like $20, $30 cards, $50 cards. So I used that money to essentially pick this up. So I moved a bunch of stuff I literally did not care about for the most part, and turned it into something that I really wanted. But the key thing here was waiting. I was patient on this. I waited 5 months to get one at the price that I wanted. And now I have it, and I have it paired up. And this one is actually slightly more rare in a 9.8. You see this one come up all the time, and the census count's not that far off, but you see this one come up way more than this one. 142, there's 5,000 graded, so 1,000 less on the census. That's total population. Just over 600 in a CGC 9.8. So about 100 less copies in a CGC 9.8. And this one was regularly going for, back in the peak in early 2022, 600 to 700, 585, in that range. Very high fives to low sevens for the first half of the year. And then it's funny, when you look at GPA, it falls off a cliff in the summer. It goes from mid sixes to high fours to 400. And then it randomly would spike around, but they would not sell very often. Only 5 copies have sold on a public marketplace since June. So they don't sell very often at current market prices. Every time I would see one posted in a Facebook group, everyone would want $600 for it. They would not, just as we're seeing in the sports card side of things, people were not willing to move off their number. So the key thing to keep in mind in this market is remain patient. Set your price. Let the market come to you, especially if you're a cash buyer, and don't run into something unless it's something that you really want. Once again, if it's super rare or whatever, you do your thing, but just have a number in mind, what you're willing to pay for it, what you're fine if it goes lower than that, whatever the case might be. But don't just run out right now and just fire away at anything that you see. Make sure that it's the correct price and then pull the trigger. Once again, I'm not saying, you got to rip the dealer off or anything like that. If the comps on this book since June were 444, 408, 500, 480, and 416. So once again, my max was 450 on it. I'd have been perfectly willing to PayPal goods and services someone up to $450 for a copy of this. But everyone wanted to be at around that 600 number. And I said, that's not where the market says that this is at. I think this is a very fair offer at 450. No one was willing to bite. I sat back, I waited, I stayed patient, and waited out an eBay auction for it. As much as everyone likes to yell at eBay, and justifiably so, they definitely have a host of issues. I am finding some of the best deals right now on eBay auctions. That, and once again, Instagram sellers. And this is regardless of collectible category, whether it's comics or cards. You know, some of the bigger consignment card IG accounts as well. You can get some pretty good deals. Not everything. Some stuff's still overpriced there as well, or working off old numbers. But for the most part, usually the larger consignment places kind of know the market, and they will usually advise, especially on bigger comic books anyways, like, hey, this is where this is at. Like, we could list it at this price, but it's probably not going to sell, almost like a realtor. So typically those guys tend to be at least in the realm. Sometimes you might need a DM for an offer to try to get something. I forget the last book that I bought that was the X-Men 50 that I got. The Polaris X-Men 50 came from Elite Comics. They listed it at 700. The market rate was about 650, 625, 675 in that range. They listed it about $50 above market. I DM'd at like 625. They countered at 650 and I accepted. And that was pretty much right in line with where that book had been selling. So that's the big takeaway that I have for this video. And that was kind of the point of this. A little bit of a mail day, but specifically set your mindset right now to be patient. Let the deals come to you. If you have a cash buyer in this environment, we have the power right now. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, tables were flipped. Now it's flipped back. We have the power. Be patient. Let the deal come to you. That's all I have for you guys and girls. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.